Hello, greetings everybody. Menus class CE187 week 4. How's everybody doing? Got some thumbs up? I'm talking
Doing
before class.
awesome.
Hey Shayla.
Hey, Chef.
All right. So class, we've got some important stuff to talk about in today's lesson, which is how to price out a menu, right? We know that that's really important because where's our money coming in? From the menu, right? So we need to make sure that we're pricing our menu items accordingly. All the way from sides and appetizers to drinks and desserts and everything in between. Okay, so we're gonna get deep into that, how to actually go about pricing a menu. It can be confusing and kind of, you think, wow, is that the right price? Should I really do that? But once you know the formula, pretty straightforward, all right? It's not that complicated. But I don't know if you remember last week though, when I was saying, hey, think about an item, right? That you like to make. What does that cost, right? And Sherry was saying, yeah, you need to make sure you include that salt and pepper, that oil, even though it's just a little bit, a pinch here, a pinch there, a tablespoon there, it adds up, right? When you go from making one dish to 100 or 1 to 1,000, every little bit counts. All right. Not to mention food waste. We're gonna get into that as well. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the industry right now. Okay. Has anybody seen throughout this COVID pandemic time that restaurants obviously mainly switched over to delivery, okay? And has anybody been reading about all the news articles about these third-party delivery companies, DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats? Has anybody been reading anything about these or used them? Or anything like that?
Yeah.
All right. What have you noticed anything? Have you been, what's going on with those companies?
Right now, they're flourishing.
But what's the big issue between the third-party delivery? There certainly are flourishing, right? What's the big issue right now going on between third-party delivery companies, businesses, platforms, and restaurants?
The charge.
You know?
The charges.
What they're charging. Yeah, restaurants are barely able to make it worth it using these third-party systems because they are, and I'll send you out some articles about this, the way that these third-party systems are going are taking a lot of the restaurants' cuts. And what do we know about restaurants in general, not necessarily just even during this pandemic time? What type of percentage is our restaurants taking home? Small, right? Really small. That's why most restaurants fail, because it's really hard to be successful and balance your food waste, your operational costs, all of these things. Lower than that, Shayla. I wish it was 15%. That's like golden. Okay, so but good guess. 7, yeah, 4 to 6, 7, hovering around in that age range. So it's not a lot. And then if we're talking about these third-party companies coming in and taking even more of the restaurant's profits, it's getting really hard for them to survive. So one word of advice, go to, if you're gonna be ordering food right now during this time, go to the company's website or their paper menu, dial them up, call right there, call them directly, see if they have their own delivery service, see if you can get that, because otherwise you're giving a lot of money to these third-party companies when we want to be given as much money as we can to the restaurants, especially during this time, right? Where they're just trying to get back on their feet.
However, though, it exposes them to thousands of customers that probably never knew they existed, especially if you're a small restaurant.
I'm not understanding, Terry. Can you repeat that?
Can you not hear me clearly?
I just didn't understand what you were saying about.
Well, it exposes the restaurant being on DoorDash's app. It exposes them to customers that never knew they existed, especially if they're a very small restaurant.
It does to some extent, for sure. But do you think that they should be taking that they're going to be taking almost up to in some situations taking up to 60% of that what they're making?
They take 30%. I mean, for me, I thought it was worth it to sign up to get 30%. Because I get 70% of what I would have gotten would be zero.
Yeah, but it's different if you're a restaurant that's paying rent and staff and all these other factors, insurance, all your costs, operational costs. It gets to be a point that it's not worth it for them. And is it fair? The marketing is not paying off in what they're making. I'll send you out some articles and you guys take a look and see what you think is good. If you think there should be a better balance. They were even, some of these companies were even taking, because the phone number will be located if you do a Google search, and even if they're trying to call a restaurant, Grubhub is taking money from a call that went into the restaurant because it's a Grubhub number that gets rerouted.
Well, Chef, let me ask you a question. So
Yeah.
why do so many restaurants, it seems like, why are so many people doing it though? It's like, it don't seem like they must not be losing because there's so many restaurants that's doing it, or is because they have to get some kind of income in, some kind of way through.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You're pushed up between a rock and a wall, because what's your option? So you'd rather take that 30%, but eventually end up basically closing, having to close, but you're taking those little pennies and you're giving all the money to this third-party operating system. I'm just saying, something to think about and be objective about. Everybody's using it because people, even before the pandemic, people wanted convenience, right? People wanted food delivered to your home. I'm just saying, what do you feel if that was your place? What would you feel about all of those profits going away?
You would have to feel like, I don't know. That's a good one, because it's like if I do or if I don't, either way I gotta eat. So, or either I'm gonna close down.
Right, but a lot of these restaurants are getting to the point where they're just basically, it's like they're just holding on for a few extra weeks or months to eventually have to close down anyhow.
Like Terry said, I think it helped more the mom and pop restaurants versus the big marquee restaurants.
Oh, well, large corporate chains are completely a different ballgame, right? I mean, even if you look at what happened with the PPP plans, right? Huge chains got paid out tens of millions of dollars, and the small restaurants did not.
Right. Correct.
So yeah, you're right. It's not a huge hit to those bigger restaurants. They can survive that. But can smaller ones? No. That's where everything gets really difficult, because what we're saying is, okay, so now let's say this trend continues. What does that mean? We're going to just start losing all the smaller establishments. So even though you wanted to get your name out in the beginning, in the end, it's just going to be these big companies left. See what I'm getting at?
I don't know. I think it's worth it.
Pardon me, Terry?
I said, I don't know. I think it's worth it.
How long have you been using them?
Well, I used them just up until COVID. So I only got to use them a couple of weeks. However, you're right, though. I was using a kitchen where my rent was free.
Exactly. So this is, and we'll get into this tonight, where it totally changes everything, because your costs are going to add up so rapidly. If you own your own place, right, or you're paying for rent, it's like you go from being like, oh, okay, I got this, to whoa, what just happened to all of my money? Okay.
But I was getting orders from people that never, that didn't know that I was there, So
About what, like how much, what percentage do you think were you pulling in new customers?
almost all.
Okay, well that's awesome.
Because I would say 90% were all new customers.
See, that's fantastic. And did you have repeat customers coming back after that?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. But you only listed for a couple weeks, right?
Yeah. But
Right.
my plan was to shut it off once I got rolling on my own.
Gotcha. So that makes sense. So maybe what we're talking about is what avenues could be good for a beginning, right? But not healthy long term, because long term, you're not going to want to keep giving all that huge chunk of percentage of profits to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it gets really interesting. You end up having to do it is constant analysis of where you're going to pinch your pennies, where you're not, what makes it worth it, how can you market, because then you have to think, all right, so then are you going to hire your own delivery person?
Mm-hmm.
So then that means you make sure you've got to be paying that delivery person.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have a reliable car. Or do you provide a car? What's your pay? How many hours are they working? What's their knowledge of the streets? Right? So it's not always the easiest just to hire a delivery driver. Right? So it ends up getting really tough, okay? Because of the fact that let's look at operational costs right now. What do you have to pay for when you are let's just say you've got your restaurant, okay? What happens? You don't have any customers in there right now, but you're up and running, right? So what are some of the costs that are associated with that? You have to pay what? Rent?
Yes, water, light, electricity.
Employees.
Employees? Insurance? You have to have inventory in your house, right? Already that you haven't made money on, because you have to buy supplies. You have to have linens or paper goods. You need to have silverware. You need to have glassware. You need to have plateware. You need to have to-go containers. So now you've just purchased a lot of goods, right, that are sitting, waiting there. You're paying for that no matter what, no matter if one customer comes in or 200 come in. What about food waste? How does this start to put into play? Your food cost. What type of food cost percentage should a restaurant be aiming for? Does anybody know?
Thought it was between 13 and 10.
Food cost?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
2080?
2080, did you say?
Yes.
Meaning
20% as far as the product you're throwing away versus what you're bringing in as far as money.
20% would be incredible. I wish. If you can operate a kitchen at 20%, you're going to go straight to the top of any business coming in. all right? In some of the tightest run kitchens that I've ever worked in, their goal is 24 to 25%. And it is hard to match that. It is hard. 30% is pretty much what you're hitting.
30%.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking about a kitchen where you would take, so let's think about this. The one chef I worked for, his goal was always 24%, 25% max food costs. All right. So what do? We would, yeah, for cheesecakes, but cheesecakes alone, right? Which are fairly stable, right? You've got stable products coming in, dairy. Guess what? Your food cost percentage are going to be a lot. If you're talking about baking and pastry places, a lot easier to keep up with. What are your costs there? You've got sugar, shelf stable, flour, shelf stable, butter, fridge, doesn't spoil quickly, right? Cream cheese, also fridge, doesn't spoil readily.
Eggs,
cheap, right?
vanilla extracts.
Depending upon the quality, not crazy, right?
Yep. Vanilla beans last for a long time as well.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got super shelf stable products. By the way, Chris's cheesecakes look amazing, just so in case anybody wants to know. But that's 1823, and it's difficult to manage that, and that's with all shelf, that's pretty much predominantly shelf stable products. What happens when we're talking about lettuce, tomatoes, vegetables, meat, fruits?
Right. And if that stuff doesn't sell,
Bingo, you got it. What happens to it?
waste.
Bingo. You got it, Terry. Exactly. That becomes waste. So, what's really important? Cross-utilization. Does anybody know what cross-utilization means?
Other ways you can use that stuff instead of wasting it?
Yeah, kind of. Cross-utilization on a menu.
Being able to make more than one item with the
You
items
got it,
that you
Chris.
have.
You got it. Exactly. I want to make sure. Remember we were talking about, I was giving that example a couple weeks ago, if you were listening, Mexican cuisine. Remember those salsas? Maybe this will jog that. I was talking about, hey, guess what? You took 5 ingredients, you made 5 different salsas. Cross-utilization, very different end products, same 5 core products. Okay? Sandwiches, right? We
I
talked
could
about
probably
that.
make like 30 different kinds of cheesecakes with just 2 different kind of ingredients, honestly.
There you go, exactly. Then your toppings range from strawberries to blueberries to toffee to truffle to chiffon, whatever, lemon, anything, right? But your core is the same, okay? So cross-utilization means you are using products that can be used in many different menu items. Without that, like Terry was saying, if it doesn't sell, that's gone. But maybe you've got a high selling item and a low selling item, and they're both using a few of the same ingredients. That means if this low selling has a really good profit margin, right? You're making a lot of money when you do sell it, but you don't sell it that often. So you need those ingredients on hand because you make that big buck when you do sell them. You need another menu item to offset that. It's having a lot of volume, right? Selling a lot and utilizing that product as well. So you're not just totally uneven, right? And having extra waste. So it's really important when you start thinking about how crossover, cross-utilization. What about cross-utilization for equipment? Do we think this is important?
Very, very much. Like my stand mixer, I use my stand mixer for 100 different things. Well, I make cheesecakes, you know what I mean? I use it to make the crust. I use it to stir the product in general. I use it for other cakes and
there you go.
Literally everything.
What if somebody was going to say something? Okay. what if I have a deep fryer, but I only have like one or two items on there that I, actually need to deep fry?
I'm going to the store to buy some Oreos.
For fried Oreos?
To deep fry those, Chris? Or put them in your cheesecake?
No, deep fry Oreos.
Okay,
Maybe on top of the cheesecake. That'll be nice too.
there you go.
They are delicious.
All right.
But I can do
so-
deep fried cheesecake on a stick. I can keep going with it,
Okay, but hold on. Let's take a pause from cheesecake, right? What I'm saying is thinking about cross utilization of equipment at an establishment. Okay, if you only have one or two items that you're using equipment for, equipment costs a lot of money. Whether that's a pizza oven, a deep fryer, a flat top, a steam kettle. If you're not getting multiple uses out of that, you just put money in equipment and you're taking up space in a kitchen that could be used more effectively and efficiently.
I have an example of that. I've been shopping for a food truck, and the guy was telling me about it's a new law coming to Kansas City where you need this certain hood. And so he goes, well, on your menu, are you frying anything? And I said, well, just like one item on my menu was fried. And he said, well, can you do it with an air fryer? And I never even thought of that, just putting an air fryer on the food truck. And he goes, and then you eliminate having to buy a fryer, this hood
Exactly.
at $5,000. And so, yeah.
Exactly, Terry. Or you eliminate the ingredient, the item, right? Unless you think it's like this gangbuster seller, you're gonna be doing so much, but then in that case, you're gonna want those fries, you're probably gonna want a double basket or a quadruple basket, depending on what you're cranking out, right? So yeah, that's a perfect example. If you've got one item that's using one piece of equipment, how necessary is it to invest in that equipment, in a new hood, in a stronger hood, in a hood period? Kitchens, how they run, how effective they run, how efficiently they run, also becomes money, right? How many people do you need working those different stations? Are your staff members trained to work multiple locations, multiple stations? Do we think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Good. Yeah, everybody's saying good. Why? Why would that be good? Other than that the staff is knowledgeable. Why else?
In case somebody calls out, they can jump over to the salad or jump over to fry or jump on grill or go back and help with prep, as long as everybody's been cross-trained.
Exactly. Not to mention if somebody calls out, but yeah, cutting down costs, making sure you have all the positions. But guess what's even more important? What about when it's slow? Like it's getting slow. We're heading to the dead season, or it's just a slow night. And I've got 2-3 line cooks sitting around waiting for orders come in. I'm paying them all about 10 to 15 bucks, depending upon their experience, an hour. And they're sitting around doing nothing. They've already prepped out everything. They cleaned everything. Yeah, you can send people home, but you can only send people home if they are cross-trained. Because otherwise, how does somebody who's only been making salads know how to operate the grill?
That's how it was when I was working in Chili's during the daytime. It was just me and another lady. I would do 3 stations and she would do the other 3 stations, because the top we would have is maybe like 40 top that would come in. We can handle it ourselves until 5 or 6 o'clock when everybody came in. Then we would need a full staff.
Exactly. So cross-training. It just becomes really important. Cross-training your staff, cross-utilization of ingredients, cross-utilization of equipment. Otherwise, it's just areas that money can start falling away from. All right. Yeah, if you can lean, you can clean. That's right, Chelsea. That's one of the best sayings. But you guys, the reason why I'm drilling this home is because restaurants are hard to run. If you don't know what you're doing, even when you do know what you're doing, they are hard to run. It is hard to be successful. Okay? You have to know everything that's going on. Where else do we think we can lose money? Where's a way that a restaurant can easily lose money? Let's talk about this.
Not being able to keep up with the products coming in. People walk out because they can't get their food, waiting an hour.
Sure, you can lose customers that way. Condiments.
Pilferage. Theft.
You got it, Terry. Yeah, theft. That's your biggest one. That is going to be your biggest one. Because guess what? What if you're not paying your staff that well as they should be getting paid, right? It's hard to work live on a cook's salary, right? And they're not getting insurance. So they're like, you know what? I'm in the meat cooler right now. There's no camera in here. I can put a few steaks in my pocket. Who's gonna know? Right? Yeah, one free meal does help with that. Family meal. This is something that I've been talking about in the other class. Remember, family meal. Family meal is really good. First of all, it brings unity, community to your front and back of the house staff. You give nourishment, right? And you can make affordable family meals, all right? With pretty low cost ingredients, leftovers, things like that. If they are eating, as Chelsea's saying, if they're eating all day on the clock, what's gonna happen? That's again, money going away. What about front of the house? Cocktails.
And friends.
What's that?
Or friends, letting their friends come and eat, or family. Yeah.
100%. Sure, there's always a little discount you can give, or maybe a free dessert. But if you're doing that all the time, or if you're pouring those cocktails all the time, over pouring, said Stephen. Yeah. Now there's always, okay, so there's a difference, right? There's a difference between training your staff and saying, hey, we got a new beer on tap. I want you to know how this tastes so you can serve it. I'll get that in a second, Chris. You give a small portion out, right? You give a small portion out. Say, hey, this is it. Taste this so you know how to sell it. You don't let them stay after work, sitting at the end of the bar, tipping back pints. You can, but guess what? You're gonna lose money eventually, all right? Or ringing up a well drink. Well drink, right? Run you $6, $7, $5 compared to a top shelf drink, right? Like well vodka versus a Grey Goose or a Tito's. Well, what if I go ahead and I punch that in my cash register, my POS, and I'm like, I just ring that up as a well drink, but I'm pouring Grey Goose for my customer. So my customer is giving me the $12 for the drink. I'm ringing it up as a sixer in the POS. How do you keep track on that? How do you manage that? How do you track that?
Count inventory between shifts.
Boom, inventory, exactly. Keeping a tight eye on that, right? What's another way?
Measuring cups.
Measuring devices that they can actually get put exactly onto the top. It's a fix on top of the bottle so that an actual serving goes out. There's not the over pour like Stephen was saying. All right, because those over pours add up.
And some of them have counters on them too, Chef.
Exactly. But this takes an investment as well up front. But it's preventative. Chris was also talking about following recipes. not following recipes. Not following recipes is a sure way to make sure that your food costs off. Right? Now there's a little wiggle room here and there. Hey, it needs a little more salt or a little, a bit more spices. But it's another thing if you're adding a whole nother 10 can of tomatoes to your marinara sauce. And you're putting a whole extra ladle of sauce on the plate each time. 2-ounce ladle every time a dish is going out, an extra one, that adds up. This is a tough industry, tough business. You got to have your eyes everywhere. You got to treat your staff right. You got to be smart. You got to be clean. You got to be efficient. All right. So, does anybody have any questions about that stuff? All right. Let's take a look at menu pricing. Let me pull up the class page so we can see. I'm not going to go into the, where the heck is this? There's one section in the reading material. We can briefly talk about it, but you can read about it. It's not, it's important, but, and if you have more questions, we can go deeper into it, but I think there are more valuable lessons to go over during this class. All right, so here we are, week 4. You've got menu pricing and cost control. Suppliers. We'll talk a little bit about that, not as important, and reducing costs. All right, obviously suppliers are important, but menu pricing, cost controls, and reducing costs is going to be your focus, right? So hopping into your menu pricing and cost control. This is exactly what we've been talking about, going from 1 to 100, right? Having standard procedures, right? Having standardized recipes, okay? I think this is the next slide I wanted to show you. Yeah, here we go. So here we go. Calculating food costs and your, what does it say? Your minimum menu price. The minimum. Okay. First, listing every single ingredient in the dish. Like we said, garnish, sauce, season. All of that. You calculate the cost of each ingredient. So let's just break this down. Okay. If 1 tomato costs 40 cents, you slice that tomato, you get 8 slices. That means each slice of tomato costs 5 cents. Okay? Does that math make sense to everybody? Does everybody get it? If I had an orange and an orange costs 50 cents and I'm putting half of an orange on each plate, cut into segments for my breakfast platter, what am I adding to that menu price for the cost of the orange per plate?
It's 25 cents.
Boom, you got it. All right. So fairly simple math, right? You're taking that whole yield. Remember, this is what we were talking about in CE187. Remember we were talking about yield, waste? Remember that watermelon? Remember that pineapple? What we're taking off? Outer leaves of bad lettuce that gets ditched? Okay, remember, taking that whole, how many servings you get out of that, the cost. Okay, now you make a list. So let's say we're going on this, let's just make this a really simple idea here with this tomato. We're gonna make a BLT, all right? So what do we need to make a BLT? We need lettuce, tomato, bacon, bread, mayonnaise, probably some salt and pepper, or at least a little oil for the bacon, depending upon how we're preparing it. Maybe we're just doing a big sheet tray of it, so we don't need to add any.
What kind of meat you said? Turkey and ham? Or what
Bacon,
kind
lettuce, and tomato, BLT. Bacon,
Okay.
lettuce, tomato, yep.
Gotcha.
Mayo, bread. 5 ingredients, all right? So start thinking about something really simple like that. How do you want to cost out a 5 ingredient sandwich? So then you add up all those little costs, right? Because it's going to be 2 slices of tomato on there, all right? So now we know we've got, if it was the cost of 5 cents, we know we've got 10 cents on one sandwich. 1 leaf of lettuce, approximately how much does that cost? How many pieces of bacon? The cost of that. The cost of your 2 slices of bread. How much mayonnaise is going on? Going back to what Chris was saying, we're talking about those menus, standardized recipes. Are we putting a teaspoon or putting a tablespoon? Who's got a heavy hand here?
Teaspoon.
What if one of your staff members really loves, love my mayo. I'm putting a little bit extra on because I want it to taste good. How many teaspoons in 1 tablespoon?
3.
3. Yeah, Shayla.
Good.
So, big difference, right? Training your staff, super important. Portion control, very important. Okay? So, now we've got our total cost of our sandwich. All right? Let's just say it's $1. Okay? Total cost is $1. Cost me $1 to make a BLT sandwich. Okay? I'm not talking about who's making it, who I'm paying to make it. This is just the cost of the ingredients for the menu item. Okay? Then you take that cost, $1, and you divide that by your food cost percentage, which a great goal is 30%. Who's got a calculator? Who's doing that? Who's making sure your math's right?
So you saying $1 for the person food costs?
Divided by 30%. .3.
I would say that's like 0.3. Like 3%.
Total is,
I got 4.20.
you got 4.20?
No, put 4 in there. Because we're going to pop this salt tonight. And you let that cook for 10 minutes.
Hold on, let me close this up. So, did anybody else do that math really quickly? Because we've got 2 different answers coming up. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. I could pull up a calculator. Let's do this. All right. 1 divided by 0.3. 3.333. So, this is the minimum price for my menu item. That BLT that costs $1 for the ingredients, I need to charge $3.33. Does this make sense to everybody? Based on this?
So your profit $2.33 or something like that.
Not quite yet profiting.
Well, not profit, yeah, but okay.
Yes.
You know, I got
Yes, $2.33 is what so I've used that dollar. That dollar just went to the cost of the ingredients. Now I have that other $2.33 that needs to be divided into, that gets applied to other areas, right? Where's that $2.33 going? It's going to all that extra money. That's not just in your pocket.
That's overhead, that's payroll, that's building, that's everything included.
You got it. Exactly. So then what's left after all of that?
taxes.
Yeah, let's not forget about taxes, right? Insurance. Okay. So do a little project, all right? Just think about what's going on. Now, this is important. Terry was talking about having her food truck, wanting to get a food truck, right? Well, guess what? She needs to know what's going on with her competitors. What are they charging? What quality food do they have? Remember how we were talking about way back in like week 1, 2? Got to go around. Hey, okay, so they're selling that burger, but it's a 3-ounce patty versus a 4-ounce patty. The prices are a little bit lower. What can I charge? How do I make that known? What's the difference, right? So you have to know what your competitors are selling and what quality they're using. So you got to go eat there. You got to go check it out. Okay? You can't just go in all willy-nilly. A lot of research. Because again, you don't want to go in and be like, all right, they're selling that burger for $5. I'm going in for $3.75. I want to take all their customers. Yeah, until you're not making a profit because you're just trying to, price gouge, right? So, last time I checked, this website does not work, just an FYI, so I'm trying to get that figured out. But, all right, we've got some questions to ask. Let's hop into, next section. This is your whole area on suppliers, okay? How to source. We talked about this last week, about who are you going from? Are you going to Cisco? Are you going to the big guys in town? Are you going for local, right? You've got to do your research, okay? Large food suppliers, global and international food suppliers, food co-ops, B2B, which is business to business. Am I going to that local farmer and saying, hey, let's work a deal. Can you deliver those blueberries and eggs to me every week? I'm going to need X amount because I'm going through, I've got blueberry pancakes on my, menu. I'm going to need X amount of blueberries all year and I need X amount of eggs. Can you deliver that? And you work out a deal with that. Okay. Hop it in. All right, you guys can answer these questions when you're going in. I think, here we go. Last one, reducing costs. We pretty much talked about this, right? Cross-utilization, okay? This is huge. Cross-utilizing ingredients, right? Where they're going, where they're coming from, how are you using them? Cross-utilizing equipment, okay? Connected costs, all right? those people, right? Labor, staff. This is going to be part of your discussion forum next week. So let's talk about this really quickly. What do we think? So if I buy, we talked about this in CE187, remember? Knowing how to fabricate your own meat. Benefits of that, cost factors of that. What about soups? Are you guys gonna be buying, this is always a good one. Let's just talk about this. Stock. What are you gonna use? Are you gonna make stock in house? Or are you gonna buy soup base? Stephen says yes. Stephen, what type of establishment do you want to have?
I'm doing the same thing as Terry. I'm doing a food truck,
Okay.
and I'm making like a lunch items, and I'll be making my own stock for all my sauces and stuff I need.
Okay. So if you're doing lunch, you're going to sell a lot of soups, most likely. So then that makes sense. But stock takes up a lot of space, right? Stock's got to cook for a long time. How many burners are you going to have in that food truck?
Right now, looking at 5.
Okay. And how long are those burners going to be occupied by a big old stock pot during the day?
I have storage to where I can keep refrigeration extra, and then I only have what I need in the truck. So I only need 1 burner for my stock to stay warm.
Okay. So you have another kitchen that you're going to be cooking out of?
Yes.
Okay. So now you're starting to think, all right, this is how we can do it. Because otherwise, trying to make stock on a food truck, takes up a lot of space, right?
Yeah, that's why the way I have my menu planned, everything's done prior, and then only thing that gets loaded in the truck is what I need to actually heat up and cook there so it's fresh.
Great. Okay. So what about, let's say you're not doing your main focus isn't lunch, so you're not doing a ton of soups, but you want to have a soup, What do you guys think? What do you think most places are doing? I'm not talking about super fine dining, high end, just a regular old place. What do you think? You're making stock in house?
No, they're making soup. They're using soup base.
Bingo, Yankee, you're right. Yeah, they're using soup base. Whether it's veg base, a vegetable base, a beef base, chicken base. They've gotten a lot better over the years. But you can taste it, right? There's a certain je ne sais quoi, okay? That's something great, actually. Sometimes you go and you're like, oh, this reminds me of like dining at some other place, right? Because it has that very familiar taste. Or like, what about, you guys, here's another thing. What about dressings? Are you making all your dressings in-house or are you outsourcing?
No way, Restaurant Depot.
See? All right. Yankee's not here to mess around. He's like, I'm not paying staff to make dressing. I'm going to go through a lot of dressing. I don't want to waste my time making dressing.
Make the dressing homemade.
Shayla wants to make her dressing homemade. So you've got staff who's going to make a homemade dressing every couple days?
Absolutely.
And you have trained staff that knows how to do that? And you're going to pay staff how much money to do that?
Well, hourly.
What type of place you want to have, Shayla?
A food truck.
A food truck.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I think working on a food truck, 14 to 15 bucks an hour, but that's one person.
Yeah. And
Myself
so
and one other person.
and they're going to have time to make all their dressings from scratch?
Yeah, we prep on Monday, get it out for the week. Well, it's only good for a couple of days. It's made with mayo.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we, according to that, we'll kind of do.
Yeah, you got it. You're right on track with that. Okay. So what's the point here? So,
Chef,
yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, Marvin.
Okay. I was talking to her, I was thinking about the food truck thing. So I got a question for Terry and Chris. and so is it best to get a food truck with the motor, you drive around, or is it best to get a food truck when you pull it with a truck? Because if the truck that you drive in tear up, now you got another cost of fixing the motor or whatever. So now you can't move because that's your establishment. But if you was pulling it with as a trailer type food truck, you can always go hook up, another vehicle to it and move. So that's my question. So cost wise on that is which way is the best way, best route?
To either have a food truck that you're pulling or a food truck that you have your own engine in and you're driving around is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
All right. So Stephen and Terry, that is directed to you two. Because Chris, I don't think you have a food truck, right? You're just doing cheesecakes?
No, I run my bakery from my house.
Okay, gotcha. So Stephen and Terry, let's hear what you guys got to say. Stephen and Terry, what your guys' opinions are on food trucks.
It all depends on where where the business is going to be located at. If you're doing like downtown district, you're going to want something you can drive in. You could also have one you can pull to set up at like events when they have just kind of different events going on. You can post the food trailer up there, so you can have a bigger trailer. It just depends on the environment that you're going to be serving your food in.
Terry, what do you think?
I agree. I don't have one yet. I'm shopping for one now, but I'm trying to plan all of that out as well.
Hey, Terry,
Can you some insight, Terry, regarding that, or have you looked at two different versions of either getting a trailer or your own motor?
Oh yeah. So I went to. They have meetings here for new food truckers, and there's a panel of OG food truckers, and it kind of was a 50-50. It was a guy there that he has a pizza trailer where he's totally done a brick onion a oven and a trailer, and he was saying that he can go out anytime. He doesn't have to worry about if the food truck breaks down. He's got to find a truck, the specialty tow truck that can tow it. It's specialty parts, and you may be down 3-4 days a week, and you have to make sure you have enough money in the bank that's just sitting there for repairs. He said if his pickup breaks down, he can always hitch up to another pickup and keep rolling. I just don't like the look of a trailer. I don't like it.
I actually have both, because I got the truck for when I'm going downtown doing business lunches, and then when there's events going on like concerts, car shows, animal shows, boat shows, just whatever, then I bring the trailer out because it's easier and it's bigger for me to handle more capacity. And then my food truck's just when I'm going out doing service throughout the town.
Marvin, does that help?
Really?
That's awesome. Yes. But it was just, it was in my mind, like it was 50-50. I was like, Terry, it's like up in the air. But with Stephen, the way he got it, he don't have no problem. He make it do what it do.
Yeah.
You just
They
have
just
to.
And they were
My
like, you just got to
budget
make
for
sure a mechanic, like almost on standby. They were like, make sure you have a relationship. Once you find someone that can work on your food truck, that you have a relationship with them, and they kind of know that when you're down, that, sometimes you might need to get bumped ahead of the list because that's your money, it's your livelihood.
And the other thing I do is I budget in 10% of my budget goes towards maintenance and stuff like that. So if anything happens, I always have fallback. So I'm always able to I don't have to worry about it killing me in the end.
Great advice, definitely. Sergio's asking, saying, for a food truck, do you have an off-site prep for cooking and prep? Guess what? A lot of food trucks do, Sergio. Not all of them do have that either luxury, but a lot of them are cooking off-site, because remember, a food truck's pretty small. You've got limited storage, you've got limited prep space, you've got limited action space, all right? So a lot of food trucks do off-site and load up the truck.
It's the law here in Kansas City.
That you have to do all of your prep offsite?
Yeah, yeah. You have to have a what they call it, not masonry. What's it called?
You gotta have mortar and brick. Yes.
No.
Commissary kitchen.
Commissary. Yeah, you have to have a commissary kitchen. You can't park your truck in Kansas City limits. You can't just park it at your house. So you also have to find a place. So that's more money you have to rent. So here we have Food Truck Central, and you rent a space to park your truck, and you can rent a storage with your freezer in it and the sinks and prep. So that's an additional like $200 a month.
Right.
That's exactly what I have. I have a storage building that has my stoves, my heaters, my refrigerators, and everything. I prep everything in there, and then it gets loaded into the trucks.
Awesome.
So, Stephen, one question: how long you been doing that food truck? Because it seems like you have it down pretty good.
About 2 years now.
What city? What city, Stephen?
I'm in Mobile, Alabama.
Wow. I'm in Montgomery, Alabama. Okay, cool.
You
I
better
know
go
that area well.
scrub.
We're gonna have to hook up, Stephen. You're too close to me not to know.
Well, by all means, come try it out.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Class, use that ask your section here, questions here. Seems like a lot of you have interest in food truck. Chris already put a link in the chat about that. Share that knowledge, right? Every state is different. Sergio, I don't know if that's the law in Illinois. I haven't done food truck research in Illinois, so I'm not sure. But I think definitely having everybody, you guys, sharing this information. Also, another thing to note is staying connected with one another. You never know who you're going to, when you're going to be on the road somewhere, you're like, hey, I think my friend has a spot or a food truck or whatever. Like, let's go and check him or her out, right? Yeah, this is what it's all about. Terry, I see your hand up.
I wanted to ask Stephen a question. Did you build your own food truck, or did you buy it already with your equipment in it?
It's easier to buy one that's already pre-made, and then you just change it to make what you need. That way you're not out of pocket building the whole truck from scratch.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, you guys have been going, so I'm just giving you guys a little space. You guys feeling good?
Yes.
Yes. Stephen, thank you. That was great. I hope Florida is the same way.
No problem. Always here for help if anybody needs it.
Yeah, like I said, I think you guys should definitely, or I know you guys probably have like a group somewhere else or something, but go ahead and put that information in the Ask Your Questions Here section. Start sharing info. We all want everybody to be successful, right? You want your classmates to be successful. I love bragging about my classmates because I'm like, yeah, they're doing awesome. They're doing this, this, and that. It's fantastic. So share knowledge. That's what it's all about constantly, all right? Helping one another out. Like I said, varies from state to state, can vary from city to city. Put your resources together, all right? 10 heads are better than one, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, class. So, I know this class was just like, hey, let's just get real here. But the reality is, if you want to take that leap of faith and go for it and have your own establishment, whether it's an independent restaurant or a food truck or a catering company or a bakery, you gotta start really looking at numbers and really looking at every single corner, because you can be the best chef out there. But if you don't know how to keep your books right, see you later. And it sucks, but that's the truth. You can be making fantastic food, But if you don't have a tight figure on all your books, it's really hard. It's really hard. Things just start to get a little bit out of whack. All right. So start thinking about that. If you have questions, reach out, knock out these knowledge checks. Also, for anybody who didn't do week 3 or got like a 4 or 5 on that, make sure you are reading those messages that I send out, because I gave you a clue. I said, hey, if you didn't get those full points, go back and read the question. It most likely means the last question in that discussion forum you did not properly answer. So go back, check that out. I'm gonna be grading that again, seeing who went in and updated. So get those extra points, right? No reason not to. And yeah, Shayla, connect with everybody, guys. You never know when you're gonna cross paths, all right? Otherwise, have a great weekend. Keep doing your research and keep pushing, all right? And keep analyzing your menu. Look at that cross utilization. All right.
Hey, Chef.
Yeah.
One last thing. The grading that you sent to me, I can't see your video on what you have told me to do and what not to do. It wouldn't pull up.
For this week?
Yeah, on the 220 on CU 222.
Yeah.
Yes.
Week 9.
When you sent it to me today, you gave me my grade and everything.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see the video. It wouldn't let me.
Cool. I will look that up, but I think you got 100, so not too much to worry about. But let me go back and check that out, because I just sent those out. So let me go check. Thanks for letting me know.
Okay.
All right. Take care, everybody. Reach out if you have questions, and talk to you soon. Bye.